the amount of care and love our parents given us when you're young. Do you agree?
Care generally comes down to women. Would you personally change a nappy?
Yes, I did. My wife is asleep, for example. Am I going to wake her after she's been so tired looking after my son or my daughter, and just to change her nappy, I'm going to wake her up and say, you do it? It's not fair. So
you're a hero.
No. This is what Muslims should do. But they want to present it as the true Islam, and we are the ones which are left Islam because we don't adhere to their belief system.
So it's scary, doesn't it? That he's just right.
Yeah, just imagine if you're a Christian and somebody comes along and they worship a banana and says, no, you're wrong. You have left Christianity because you don't worship a banana anymore.
So to some point, he's dangerous for Islam, isn't he?
No. These movements, they're leaving now. This movement has been for a while, and our scholars have responded to them. Their arguments they bring and so on. So it's been something like the scholarly community have declared that they don't have anything to do with Islam, and these are the responses Islam provides against their belief. When this particular phrase that you've heard, takbir means, okay, glorify Allah, and Allahu Akbar means Allah is the greatest. But when people hear this, what happens? What goes in their mind? ISIS, this, that. It's like, I'm telling you, it's totally.
He seems to have a lot of hatred in it.
The whole world is being robbed of a lot of good values from different faith systems and different communities. I mean, human beings, ultimately, there's something within us which we believe is God inspired. We know what is killing is wrong. We know hurting others is wrong. So you can't just take and say, just because someone doesn't adhere to your belief system, they're evil. They would say that we don't want any innocent people we can kill. But what happens is they get hijacked and then say,
in their own little.
Yeah.
But it's not him though; it's his followers. It's never a leader.
Yeah.
He's got a lot.
So that's Nation of Islam for you, where they're misrepresenting Islam and hijacking Islamic teaching, and they are presenting to the world that this is Islam. And while they're doing that, the perception people will have, Islam is while hating white people. Islam is free from them. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our prophet, his name is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his very last sermon before he passed away, the year he passed away, in front of thousands of people, he made two important out of many suggestions to people. He says, take care of your women. Take care of your women, because it is well known from historical record how women are mistreated. If you look at history, women were not even considered to be one possessing of a soul, not even a human being with a soul. So he warned about people to treat women fairly, justly and kindly, and give them their due rights that God has given them. And he also talked about the evil of racism. He said, hear this, that there is no difference between an Arab and a non-Arab, and a white person and a black person. A black person is not superior to a white person, and a white person is not superior to a black person. The only distinction between them, if there is any, is who's more God-conscious, righteous, and pious in the sight of God. That means there is no discrimination on the basis of your color, your race, your gender, your wealth, your status, social status. The only discrimination in the sight of God, if you want to call discrimination, is how much God-conscious are you? How much you're willing to submit to God and are pious and have this piety and righteousness. Then you can say, I wish I was like...
He believes that.
Yeah, of course. That's why he has nothing to do with Islam. So as Muslims, we can say, look at this brother. How much he is or she is so well-mannered, so kind, respectful, caring of children, looking after the elders, truthful, reliable. When we look at these people, this is what we say, I wish we were like that. That's how we can make a distinction, but not that we say, he's too rich, he's too fat, or he's a black person or a white person. Islam does not allow this kind of differentiation and distinction between people.
Have they gone so wrong in your eyes?
So our scholars have declared the nation of Islam to be outside the fold of Islam. Islam has nothing to do with them. Yeah, Islam has nothing to do with them. They can label themselves as Muslims, but Islam is free of them because they don't adhere to the teaching of Islam. They believe Louis Farrakhan is like God on earth, a black person, a man who's claimed to be God. When our belief that God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, is not a man or a woman, let alone be black or white. He's the creator of everything, unlike anything of the creation. So God cannot be imagined in any way, shape or form that people think that God is like this. Oh, God, in Christian tradition. Are you familiar with the Christian tradition in which they tell us you are created in the image of God? Like God is like you. You have in the form that you are. We don't believe in that. God, think about how great God is. This, people like all these dramas, don't they? Yeah. Anyway, do you know much about Islam from the Quran?
I'm not very religious.
No. Look, the reason why I say this, do we know when we're going to die? Do we know?
Do you know what? I lost my mum last year. She was very religious, very Catholic.
Yeah.
Turned me off.
So you agree, we do not know, or we don't have certainty when we're going to die. But it is guaranteed that we, you, me, this gentleman, all of us will die. Why we die, we need to know. What programmed us to death? Remember you said you're not very religious. Why do we die in the first place? Why is there in our body a program that we should die? There is a programmer. Who created the universe, the stars and the moons and the planets?
Why don't they take horrible people first? Like my mum was a really lovely.
Yeah,
like she'd help everybody.
It's not about
she
getting
went very quickly with very aggressive cancer.
Yeah,
and there's people in prison that are child molesters and having lovely life. Why they're not? Why don't they go?
I'll tell you that. Our Creator created us for a purpose in this lifespan, and every single one of us have a specific time span. Some people may have a very short time span, some people may have a longer. People don't live more than 120, 30 years nowadays, right? We're all going to die within this time frame. So God, our Creator, has given us a choice to follow His guidance or not to follow. If you don't follow and you do all these horrible things like killing and raping and doing all these bad things, then there will be a day of judgment where you and I, every single one of us, whether we were good or bad, will be accountable for our belief and our actions, and then that will determine whether we go to heaven or hell.
But why was she taken so quickly?
It's not about quickly. Remember, our lifespan is fixed. So some people may die, for example, in their 20s, in their 30s, 40s, whatever. It may be they're dying while they're having a disease, or they may die while they don't have a disease. Even if, for example, you and I are well healthy and our time ends, we'll just drop dead. And you know that. You see people just suddenly dying, suddenly having a heart attack while they had no heart problems, and they die. When the time comes, we will die. Sometimes people suffer with lots of diseases because of various reasons. We create hole in the ozone layer, we get skin cancer, and we die. When you smoke when people smoke when they're pregnant, take drugs and alcohol, they affect the child, and the child will have diseases, and the child will die with those diseases. So this is part of our life in which, whether we are healthy or diseased, we will die when our time comes. But whoever does something that is in the sight of God wrong in terms of belief, not believing in Him correctly, and doing bad actions, raping, killing, and so on and so forth. Quran mentions what are those bad actions, and Prophet explains. In the day of judgment, God will judge them fairly, and it may be that because of their belief and actions, this person is punished for millions and billions of years. We need to make sure that we do not go in a place of torment and suffering. You and I, we don't want to go to hell, a place of fire.
I feel that you can be a good person without religion, and you can be a bad person
When we
with
say
religion.
good, as I mentioned to you, there are inside us, we know certain things are bad, certain things are good to do. Speaking the truth should be a good thing to do. So the prophets of God, with the guidance and truth from God, they will affirm and confirm what is already known to you in your intuition or in your inside feeling, already inside you, and will also confirm to you the other things which you may not have known necessarily. Because, for example, if I ask you, is smoking okay in the sight of God? Is taking alcohol or drugs okay or not? Some people will say, yeah, it makes me happy, it's okay. And you see, these things, you and I can speculate about it, and you cannot know the right answer. The right answer comes from God through his prophet and messenger, the final being Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's how we would know how to lead a good life. Because good to many people can be very subjective. You see, like somebody say, you know what, it's good for me to go and invade the whole of Iraq, free them from dictatorship, take their own resources, utilize it, and invest even more. That's what the Americans say many people did. But they looted the whole country. Other people will say, no, that's totally wrong. So people's idea of good and bad may not be necessarily correct. And this is why we need to know the guidance from our Creator, who will, without a show. In fact, the Quran, can I open it and show you something?
No, don't.
No, this is for you. No, I want to show you something and I will give it to you. It's important.
The word of Allah asked that.
So I want to show you something. This is where the Quran really touches the people's heart and mind.
Yes.
Chapter 2, verse 2. This is a book about which there is no doubt, a guidance.
Yeah, there is a doubt. There is.
Conscious.
No, I'm trying
Guidance for who? The conscious of God. This book from the very outset tells you,
do that again.
if you really want guidance from God, if you want to be sure, it's okay.
She can ask
If you really want
questions, she's going to ask.
convincing guidance which you are sure, Quran tells you from the very beginning.
I'm an advocate.
Here it is.
I
It's the
just
guidance.
don't feel it.
There you go. That's your answer.
When you say you don't feel
You
it,
have to.
you need
eat
to
it. You have to eat it in
read,
order to feel it.
reflect on it.
That's what
Let me
they
give you an
say.
example. The Quran says,
Yeah.
when your parents, one of them or both of them,
Yes.
reach old age, okay, extend the wings of mercy and do not even say oof to them. Does it resonate with you that yes, this is how it should be?
You don't need the book says to you. You have a sense of
Look, many people,
responsibility if you want to.
I'm not sure why he's disagreeing in something that is so noble. Somehow he
Which
wants.
religion are you?
I have no belief, but these people would never answer my question. How does he know this is the book of Allah? How do you know that?
This is exactly what I do in Speaker's Corner.
Why?
Tell people why. So let me continue with you, and maybe I can speak to him another time. But as I'm saying,
There you go. That's
when
exactly
the Quran tells us certain things, which your heart and your mind will say, that's it what we expect from a book of God. That is what we expect from God to make us understand how to live our life and have interactions with our people, with our family, with our friends, with our relatives. So when our parents reach old age, what happens in this country specifically, for example, in Britain? People are thrown out of their house. I mean, literally.
because the government has responsibility.
Excuse me. If you respect this
Am I right
lady
or
here,
wrong, madam?
if you respect this lady
thrown
here,
out of the house?
yeah. So these children of these parents, instead of saying, no, you stay in our house, we will look after you.
We did. As a family, we've never used an old people.
Very good family.
Never.
Very good family of
You
yours.
could,
Right.
yes.
So,
But we didn't. We've never
No,
done
no,
that.
right.
We looked
Very good
after
family.
Grandparents, great, everyone.
Yes.
But
No one's
why?
never
Why
done
did
that.
you do that?
excuse me,
Because
if
it's
you,
our family.
Exactly. But you
Right.
didn't read Quran to know this thing, did you?
and I've already explained to you why you have this systems of understanding inside already.
It's not all English people.
So,
that-
no,
that we know people,
I'm not
right?
saying. But
No,
what I'm
but the
saying,
government has responsibility.
do you mind?
Please.
Do you mind?
She is
Excuse me,
unable
do you mind?
to-
She's trying to understand something from an Islamic perspective and you're
Yeah.
interrupting. Do you mind?
I'm trying to.
No, I was the one speaking to this lady and you came in and interjected. Do you mind?
that's how
Maybe
it
you can
is.
have
You know how it
maybe
is,
you can
yeah.
have another discussion with this lady. Are you happy to discuss it later on if you want to? Yeah, if you want to.
I'm not-
So I'll
I'm
continue.
sorry.
Thank you very much. Okay, so please do not interrupt anymore. So when we are saying in this country there are so many old people's homes. Many. They're like literally everywhere. And they're filled with old people. And if you go and investigate these old people, you'll find that they actually have living children. They have sons or daughters who are very, very well established. But these people do not even visit them.
Because they have.
You're interrupting again.
responsibilities.
Have some manners.
No, but you're
Where did you
saying
get-
something that
you're-
they have their own responsibilities.
excuse
Those
me.
kids.
I'm
That
going
is
to be-
why the
I'm going to-
government
I'm going to tell
here
you-
has its own
This
responsibility
person-
Just English people in old people's homes.
for the elderly.
My mum sometimes used to work.
It's not just English.
It's
no,
not just English people.
I
they're in old
agree.
people's
I
homes.
agree.
There's lots of nationalities of old people
Correct,
in homes.
correct. But the reality is, in this country, the society is driving people, young people, to abandon the love, the care, the respect of their own parents. Excuse me, I'm going to come in front of you because you are being very rude. You are being rude to this lady. You're being very rude to these people. Right. No one wants to listen to you. Okay. So,
Why? No one.
so what happened is this:
Sense here.
people, they have been indoctrinated by this social media and other things in the society not to respect and love and care and adore their parents. When they are young, these people, when they're young, they soil their nappies. They weren't able to clean it themselves. Their mom and dad, for example, had to clean it. The mom had to feed those babies.
Because
they
it was
couldn't
their
because
responsibility
they
to bring
couldn't
the child
they couldn't feed.
before.
The amount of care and love our parents given us when you're young. Do you agree?
Now she
But
wants to
care
ask the
generally
question.
comes down to women. Would you personally change a nappy?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I did, of
Well,
course.
I'm glad to hear that you
Of
have
course,
done that.
man should do
You
too.
were
As a family,
responsible.
we've
That's
never
why
put
you
anyone
did.
in a home, and
I
they've
don't know
always
why.
stayed with us.
Yeah.
I mean, my nan got to 101.
When-
she was at home all that time. There's
When
no home
when my wife is asleep, for example, am I going to wake her after she's been so tired looking after my son or my daughter, and just to change her nappy, I'm going to wake her up and say, "You do it"? It's not fair. So
You're a hero.
no. This is what Muslims
My
should
dad would
do.
have never checked. Didn't mean he didn't love his children,
no,
but he
no,
would never
I-
change a baby's nappy ever.
I'm not going to generalize about your dad. Maybe something about nappies. Maybe, but I'm sure he's very caring and looking after the child and so on. So let's not.
Caring generally.
Yeah.
Generally.
Fine.
comes down
But as Muslims, we have to provide, look after, and care for our families, our children.
Yeah, but the Asians do it as well. It's not just an Islamic thing, is it? A lot of Asians.
A lot of Asians are Muslims,
Yeah,
and
and they're not all- not
and
all
those
Islamic.
those who are not Muslims, they have also been within encounter with Muslims, living, for example, say in India and Pakistan and so on. Pakistan is predominantly Muslim. India is a lot of Muslims there, and a lot of Hindus and other religions. But Islam or the Islamic, rulers ruled for hundreds of years there in India. So people had, encounter with Islam,
culture, isn't
right? And as I said, even if they were not in touch with Islam, God has already inspired within us some of the things that we have to look after.
I think you're a hero that you're saying that, but it's
No,
not
no, no.
everyone's doing that. I don't believe.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
What I would invite you to understand better is to visit Muslim homes, Muslim people's homes in Muslim countries.
You're saying there's no Islamic old people in old people's homes.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are a lot of Muslims who are not following the teaching of Islam and putting their parents in old people's homes because they've been brainwashed and indoctrinated by this societal values, this societal liberalist values in which, just to finish my point, so they were told, you need to look after yourself and be happy with you and your partner, whether it's your wife or not wife, if you're married or not married, doesn't matter. And no one should interfere. So your old parents may have lots of needs and it's going to interfere with your happiness. I say, we have a mechanism, like this gentleman was saying. We have a mechanism by the state. The state will provide, put them in old people's home. That's where we are saying this is wrong. It's not fair. It's not just.
If you have your parents who suffer from dementia, what would you do then?
Yeah, would you look after someone who's
Thank
like if
you.
your parents
yes.
have Alzheimer's
You would, yes, but
and they
you
get
work
really
at the
aggressive?
same- you have
Because
a
my
job
mum
to
was a
go.
nurse.
Yeah,
and
we
she
do
worked
that.
with-
You do
and
your
a lot
job.
of people
You have a
can't
job
cope
to
with
go
it.
You end up in there.
If-
Don't worry about
You
it.
then
If
have a
people
job
are
to
very
go.
aggressive,
You give up your job to look
then
after
you
your
need to
parents.
help them to deal with their aggression.
You give a
So
life to them.
we may have
Understand
to
what
put
I've
them,
just asked you.
by medical
life to the heart,
opinion, some medicines to calm them down. And we do that. I work in a hospital, so I know
My
exactly.
mum was a nurse.
Yeah.
They can get very aggressive. They can hit you and punch
So
you and
in in a cases like this, we have to appreciate and understand that that's the disease that's causing it.
Yeah.
It's not because she doesn't like you, it's the disease process. And we will help her as much as we can through medicines and other non-pharmacological ways, non-medical ways to help better. So Islam is a religion of mercy, of justice, of fairness, of kindness. And this is what we're inviting people to. So as I was finishing the point about why this society is indoctrinated young people to leave their parents in old people's home, your family, mashallah, it's a good family. But there are there are various others in this society. They have thrown out, when I say thrown out, they have left their parents to old people's homes so that they think they don't have to take care of them. So this was one example. You're interrupting again so rudely with no manners. You're demonstrating that you have no manners, no civility, and you're not even willing to learn about kindness, justice, and fairness.
No, look at it.
Right. So, madam. So, the example I gave you, I'm sure you won't disagree when the Quran said that. When the Quran, I'll give you one more example. The Quran says, "Oh, believers, right? Stand firm. Stand firm in testifying and bearing witness, even if it goes against yourself, against your family, your kith and kin." That means testifying, testimony, being a witness. I cannot show this nepotism, despotism, in this society and every other country that you know of, whether in the ruling family, whether they're rulers and politicians. What happens? If the son or a daughter of a king or a prime minister of someone in a ruling family does something wrong, do you know what happens? They don't go to the jail, justice is only for people who are not influential, not powerful. Islam says,
money's always talks.
But Islam says, I want to get your opinion on this. Islam says, no. You stand firm in justice, even if it goes against yourself, against your family, your kith and kin. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ actually said, even if Fatima, his daughter, radiallahu anha, if she were to steal, of course she's not going to steal. Even if she were to steal, he's teaching as a principle. She should get the punishment of cutting the hands. Okay? So Islam has a prescribed severe punishment to make sure this crime is so low. And we can talk about that if you want to, why there are harsh punishment. So a prophet's daughter, even if she were to do some criminal act, she cannot be spared from the eyes of justice. So justice is something that Islam says it should be applied to everyone. It's not because, you think you're a Muslim and then you can do injustices to people? No. If you commit injustice against a non-Muslim citizen of an Islamic country and so on, you will be in a very, very bad situation because you might be in jail or you might be killed, whatever, by the eyes of law if you commit injustice. So your heart and mind, what does it tell you about that teaching of justice in Islam? Do you feel that this is what I expect from God's guidance? Remember, you said you're not religious, but if there was a God, you would expect this kind of just treatment should be for everyone?
Yeah, just treatment for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, right. That's what we're saying. Islam is not an alien religion. It's alienated. It's been taken away from...
Yeah, but I could be talking to a Catholic person and they'll tell me the same, or I could talk to a Jewish person and they'll tell me the same.
They will tell you the same. There's a difference though. Islam, we say, this is a whole package. A Catholic person will say, believe in God and God has a son as well. God having a son and still one God. You and I would say it doesn't make sense because there can only be one God. There cannot be a son of God or a daughter of God or a grandson of God. It makes no sense. God is not in need of a progeny to continue his legacy. He is ever living. He doesn't die. He doesn't cease to exist. A Jew person, if you were to read their books, which if you want to, they will tell you the reason why there's a rainbow in the sky is because it will remind God of a covenant he made. Does God need reminding? So there are many things you will find from other religions. Most religions will tell you about good things. But look at the concept of God, concept of a human, what's the purpose of our life, the concept of day of judgment, what heaven and hell. Do they cohere? Does it make sense? I will tell you, in Islam, God says in the day of judgment, no one will be wronged, even to the least. That's the justice of God. So, to give you one example, how God's mercy is so great. There was one prostitute individual who saw a dog, I say what dog?
Stray dog, yeah.
A stray dog, very thirsty. Yeah? Okay, I don't know how authentic that story is, but it's a well-known thing, but there's similar stories like this. Maybe it's not that authentic. I forgot it now. I forgot it. That lady saw that the dog is quite thirsty. So she took something, got from the well some water and quenched the thirst and saved that dog, for example. Because of that action, God forgave her for all the wrongdoings she's done, and God will accept her. Right. So Islam is a mercy, religion of mercy, fairness and kindness. So when you say I'm not religious, there are certain things. There are certain things. No, goodness is inside you already, madam.
I know what's right. I know what's wrong.
But not necessarily.
Well, I think I do.
Okay. Shall I give you some examples and tell you? Okay. Aborting a child at 4 months. Is it right or wrong?
Yeah, but you can't say an Islamic person's never done that.
No. Question of right and wrong. You see, there are lots of.
Does it not depend if there's something wrong?
The woman doesn't want it.
Oh yeah, that's probably wrong.
Probably wrong. Yeah. But can you say to this woman, who is an influential lady, says, "My body is my."
Not a woman example. Because it always seems to come down on what women.
Yeah. The reason why I said that because these women often say, "My body is my own business."
A man, what a man would do.
Okay, a man's example.
Yeah.
A man
it's
says.
Easy to pick on the women.
Yeah. So if the man says, for example, you know what?
Yeah. So you can't find.
No.
You
I want. No. I want to give you an example that it resonates with you, right? Okay. Let me think of an example that you would say. If a man says, you know what? I'm not going to work at all. We are married. You have to work and provide and feed me. Is he in the right?
No, but lots of women there do run.
No, this man, it says, I want everyone to do that. In fact, man, why are we working
No,
anymore?
you both got to pull your weight, really, haven't you? That's not...
No, he says, no, I don't want to.
Well, a lot of women might not keep him.
But question of whether he has the right to say that. Do you see that? How do you decide these kind of things?
There might be a reason behind it, might not.
He says, I don't like it. I don't like to work. I want to enjoy myself in my couch and watch just sitcoms and so on and so forth. You go and work. Do you see? This is a mundane example in a practical life. To decide what is right and wrong.
It's quite a different example to the woman one.
No. I'm just thinking example right out my head. I'm saying if you ask another person, he can give you another example. The question of right and wrong, there are many areas where we cannot just decide.
Lots of people brought up with no religion who stay on the straight and narrow, and they have a good, decent life.
The question is, did they fulfill the purpose of their life?
Some people are just not religious. My mum was very religious.
Okay, if I were to ask you, what is the purpose of your heart that beats? What's the purpose?
Well, you probably got a reason behind it.
Okay. Did you say your mum was a nurse or who was?
Yeah, no,
right. Should have told you the heart is an organ in our body that circulates the blood by pumping the blood all around and circulates within it energy resources in our body system, right? It's a very essential organ in our body. It has a specific purpose. The heart is not there to listen to you. It's there to pump blood and circulate all around. Your ears is to hear and keep you in balance. Did you make that purpose of your heart and your ears? You didn't. Your parents did not do that either. So every part of your body has a specific function or a specific purpose, which is not set by you. You did not decide, you know what, my eyes, I decide, is to smell. Your eyes cannot smell. You can't decide that, even if you wished. It's all programmed, decided. So if I were to say now, put yourself together as a whole. What's your name?
Maggie.
Maggie, I'm Mansur. Pleased to meet you. Maggie, if I say now, put yourself as a whole, what is the specific function or purpose of your whole body not decided by you? Like you did not decide the function and purpose of your heart, your eyes, or your ears.
But there are millions and millions of people in this country that are not religious. They still lead a decent life, and you can't say they don't. They have families.
What I'm saying,
Life. They don't do bad things.
no, I agree there are people who are not religious, but the consequence of something, of our purpose of life, is not sometimes they think about. So,
yeah, but you were brought up, presumably, from the minute you were Islamic, your mum and dad, were they both Islamic? That's what I mean. That's all you've known. You haven't known anything else.
No, not necessarily.
See, it was with me. My dad was he was an atheist, and my mum was very religious.
Maggie, I didn't know anything about Christianity. I didn't know anything about atheism, Hinduism, Buddhism. I only knew certain people who held this belief, and that was it. But then I started looking into and understanding why do they believe what they believe. So there is a lot of critical thinking involved, and this is what we expect people to do. Use critical thinking and just say and whether they are on the truth or not. So what I told you about the purpose of your whole self, you and I, we cannot decide the purpose of my whole self is, just live my life as decently as I can, and that's it. Because I did not set a purpose for my heart or my ears or my eyes. I cannot set the purpose of my whole body.
Yeah, but from day one, your parents brought you up in an Islamic way. You do not know any different, do you? That's just your purpose, to please your parents even. You might be the most religious person in the world.
There are people...
You won't want to hurt your parents and say, I'm going to walk away.
Yeah, but there are people who may not listen to their parents at all, and they decide for themselves. I am not talking about individually myself, Mansur and Maggie, but look at them. Human beings. We have been here in this life, given life, and there seems to be a purpose, and yet some people don't know what the purpose is. They know the purpose of their heart, their lungs, their kidneys, their eyes and their ears, but together as a whole they don't know. They know that we're going to die, and they don't know why we die. They don't know what's going to happen to us when we die. They don't know why everything exists other than nothing. No. This is where we disagree profoundly.
You die.
We do know. One who gave us life. Not like that. The one who gave us life has told us and given us proof and evidence to demonstrate us that it's actually from our Creator. Like, the gentleman earlier with his funny cartoon mask earlier. He was saying, how do you know the Quran is from God? The Quran demonstrates with proof and evidence it's from God, because otherwise you can believe in any book. You can believe in Harry Potter as a book of God. No. What I'm saying, fine. I am saying the Quran actually offers evidence of its divine origin. Otherwise, anyone can claim about any book and say, this is from God, give you all money, your house keys and your car keys and so on, right? Some people will do that. Say, look, I'm a prophet of God. God tells me that you need to give me all your bank account details and blank checks, your house keys and your car. Yeah. So how do you determine someone is a true prophet of God or not? How do you determine a book, a scripture that this prophet brings is from God or not? The Quran offers those proofs and evidence, and also offers at the same time falsification tests that if you were to apply that, you can say it cannot be from God. I'll give you one example, which you might appreciate. If a book claims to be from God, given over a period of 23 years, that's how the Quran was given, would you expect this book to be free from errors of science, history, of future things if it talks about? Because it comes from a knowledgeable God, so it should be free from those mistakes. The Quran makes that claim, that if this book was not from God, you would find a lot of contradictions and errors and discrepancies. So Quran offers a falsification test. If people were to look at it deeply, and then they find all these errors and discrepancies and contradiction, they can say it cannot be from God. And I agree. The Quran gives us this falsification test. You would agree. I would agree. Quran offers other falsification tests as well as positive evidence. So just to show you, yes, in fact, the Quran does that so that you, when you're looking at it and say, I'm not going to just continue living my life in a particular way of living, dietary laws, restrictions of how I interact with people, my economic laws and laws to do with crimes and punishment and so on. To subscribe to a particular belief system, I want to make sure that what I'm following is correct, is right, is truth. Quran offers that. And when you do look into it, you will see that, yes, why am I not a Muslim? So it could be that, people have not heard about Islam, not heard about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that's why they haven't embraced him. If I were at the time of Christ Jesus, and he was a prophet of God, I would have to follow him, accept him, because God has spoken his guidance through him. If I was at the time of Moses the prophet, upon him be peace, and upon people's own prophets, we would have to follow Prophet Moses alayhi salam, because that's where the guidance of God is. God, in the history of prophets and messengers, has sent a messenger after Jesus Christ, a final messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the difference. That he has sent prophets before, people at that time had to follow them, and those who did, they will be successful, and those who did not, they will not be successful. And our current prophet, and the final prophet, and the prophet for all times until the world comes to an end, is Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. We have to verify him to be our prophet and accept him, and in doing so, not only will we be successful and happy in this life, we will secure the eternal afterlife, in which we will be in tranquility, in content, in happiness, in joy, in bliss. That's what you and I want, and this is what we are offering you to reflect and study, because it's not too late for you to
feel it. I just don't feel any religion.
So feeling is when you actually come with the Muslim community, like in Ramadan. Just go, if you have a neighbor, you say, like, in the iftar time when they break the iftar, or they're going to the mosque, live. Many people actually live or work in Islamic countries, and they change the whole outlook. Recently football, World Cup, not World War, I beg your pardon, World Cup football in Qatar. Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of people had very bad impression of Muslims and Arabs and so on. When they went to Qatar and they came back, you need to speak to them rather than hearing from me. Their perception changed when they lived and seen people in their practical lives, how they are. So when you...
I'm never saying that, it's good and bad in everybody.
Exactly. But because of people, when you say you don't feel it, maybe you haven't have the, living within the environment of how a Muslim is living and talking, and that's missing. Once you see that, try for example, saying, I'm going to try to become a Muslim woman one day. See, let me wear a hijab, for example. Let's see how it feels. Some people did this, and you'll be surprised what they came up with the reaction. Just wearing a scarf, nothing else. It changed the perception of the dignity and honor of women in general. Like when you put on a scarf, it prevents you from all the prying evil eyes of men, and it asks you not to.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that. With evil eyes of men.
No. What I'm saying is, people often judge each other, like men judging women based on how beautiful they are, not how they are as a person. So when you put a scarf on and cover your beauty, example, so on and so forth, they realized actually their honor and their dignity has been raised, and they feel empowered, not to be slave to fashion, slave to men. Many people are. Who designs, Maggie, who designs women's shoes which are so high heel, you can't even walk, wobble and fall. It's not comfortable. Okay? Ask some men who've never tried it and go on, try walking. But do you know why men design this? So that she might look in her very tightness of their muscles and so on and so forth, more attractive sexually. So this is enslavement of women by men. So when they feel how Muslim woman is empowered, they realize how Islam elevates women, how she's supposed to be, empowers them. Feminism, this is all fake.
I feel empowered without all that.
Fine, no problem. But what I'm saying, no problem. But what I'm saying, Maggie, that when people look at and try to see how Islam is in a practical level, then you can feel it. Like, have you ever heard the Quran being recited? Recited, Arabic Quran. Have you heard? How did it feel? When the Quran is recited in Arabic, you can go into any YouTube, for example, and you can listen to a recitation of the Quran, of any chapter, of a few ayat, a few verses. Have you tried it? I highly recommend it. I will...
Yeah, but I wouldn't understand it.
No. I want to just demonstrate something. When you say what? Feeling?
I've got to go because I'm getting burned.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay, so Maggie, pleasure speaking to you.
And you-
Please,
But it's
read.
It's that one you need to tell down there.
They're gone. Look into Islam, and if you're again next time here, we can continue the discussion.
Look, we came together for him because of his views. But we both didn't agree with his views.
He left.
You
Already.
could have had a go at him.
They are all covered by bodyguards. You can't speak to them.
Well, somebody said they were old bodyguards.
What?
Somebody said they were old bodyguards. You never got one.
Yeah, but this is already a barrier in front. You can't talk. But anyway,
We came together on that.
yeah. You take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.